Hello and welcome to my review for Tonya, directed by Craig Gillespie and starring Margot Robbie as Tonya Harding. I remember seeing a link to, I guess, the trailer that had just been released for this film last year, and I thought, really? Margot Robbie is Tonya Harding? Now, I've seen pictures of Tonya Harding, and so I know that the comparison is a little bit interesting as far as the looks goes. So that purely was just like a huh, and it didn't seem to me like it was going to be this film that was, in Oscar contention or anything like that. And then suddenly the buzz started kicking up, and it was, the beginning of 2018, and people were talking about it, and it was one of the Oscar-nominated films, or at least the performances were nominated, especially Margot Robbie and Allison Janney, who won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, which I didn't agree with. I think she's great in the film as Tonya Harding's mother, and really entertaining in the film, but, there were better performances for me as far as the supporting category went for the Oscars this year, but that's neither here nor there. Margot Robbie, I thought, was incredible. I was really surprised. I haven't really seen her in much that I think requires a lot of dramatic acting. You look at her in Suicide Squad and she's very appropriate to the character and things like that, but I can't really recall seeing her in a film that really wowed me in terms of, wow, that's a great dramatic performance. But she is incredible here as Tonya Harding, the figure skater who competed, at a very high level and came from nothing. She very much was what you would call, not that she lived in one, but trailer park trash. It's that kind of rags to riches story. Someone who came from nothing and became something on a huge level. And the only thing I really knew about her was that she was a figure skater and that there was some controversy around someone getting attacked. That's all I knew. So watching this film is an interesting kind of experiment, because I was like, okay, I don't really know the story here, and how is the film going to portray this story of this woman who got attacked, who got her leg injured? She was going to be kind of one of the rivals and kind of one of the women threatening Tonya Harding's position, I suppose, in the upcoming games, but I didn't know how the film was going to present it, and I didn't really know the true story either. And from what I understand, this film does heavily favour Tonya Harding's viewpoint. It very much paints her as a victim, although it doesn't paint her to be, a complete, angel either. What I found kind of distastefully entertaining about the film was just how wacky it is and how flippantly it treats the behavior of Tonya Harding's mother, for one. Again, Allison Janney gives a very entertaining performance here, but it's really about this abusive mother. And you see this life of abuse and how it molds Tonya into the woman she becomes, and how she tries to rise above that, and how she gets trapped in this relationship with this guy that she falls in love with when she's a kid. I thought they did a great job of making Margot Robbie look like a teenager. Obviously you can kind of tell, but they did a really good job with the makeup and the hair and everything and the braces, and meeting her future boyfriend and husband and so on. The way they would show Tonya Harding's signature move, I forget what it's called, but where she does kind of 3 spins or 3.5 spins in air, jumping off from the ice and landing perfectly. And I think she was the first person to do it in active competition. It was a huge thing, and it became her kind of signature thing. And we see it in slow motion. They really go into the art of the skating that she was able to do, and it's fun to see kind of not just the rag to riches story, but seeing this young girl, train and become better and so on, and fight against the odds, fight against abuse from pretty much every angle in her life. And her boyfriend, played by Sebastian Stan, at least the performance from him was great. I thought that he was, I loved kind of how he looked a bit like Ned Flanders, but had this kind of vicious streak to him, which again, thinking that it's a real story, makes me almost feel guilty for enjoying. But the way that it's really kind of framed as a black comedy in that sense. There's scenes where the Tonya Harding and her boyfriend, they're beating each other up, and she's breaking the fourth wall and talking to the camera and things like that, and it kind of again, they treat it flippantly, but for some reason I just kind of was on board with it. I kind of liked the way that it worked, and there's a scene where she says in the voiceover to us, the audience, well, this is really what you want to see, isn't it? And it's a shot of Tonya Harding standing over this woman who's got attacked, and she's standing there like a maniac, so that they're really playing on this thing. But I wonder how the woman who did get attacked feels about kind of this glorification of this incident, which surely was very traumatic for her. But the film itself was really entertaining. The music was great. They really played on the music of the time period, and so it felt appropriate and not pandering, like, oh, let's use some retro music. It really felt appropriate to the time periods. And great music is really good when it's edited well. And I thought the editing really stood out to this film, in this film as well, because cutting between different kind of, not timelines so much, but different periods of her life, and there's a lot of things going on. It's a very layered script for the film, where we go into the people who were involved in this attack on this woman. And it almost plays out like this kind of bumbling, kind of comedic heist gone wrong movie in that sense when you get to that aspect. And there's a lot of humour in that as well by the people who are behind it and their kind of ineptness. And we get to see, I think at least, at the end of the film, kind of the real interviews, because the film is also framed around interviews with the characters / real people as played by the actors. So we see kind of Tonya Harding, as played by Margot Robbie, sitting down in present day going, oh yeah, so this is the story, And then we see Allison Janney as her mother, kind of talking about, everything went on. So again, the editing is very much crossing between this timeline of telling this story and also the presence of the interviews that we're seeing. I think they did show at least, I think they showed a clip and some audio of the real interviews at the end of the film. And I like when they do that and give you some kind of real world context. But overall, I thought it was a really entertaining film. I really enjoyed it and thought mainly the performance of Margot Robbie was the standout here, and especially this one scene where she's about to go out and she's just looking at herself in the mirror. And it's just a wonderful piece of acting. If you've seen the film, you'll probably remember the scene, and it's the one that stands out the most to me. I think that it's a scene that could really easily be overplayed by an actress or actor, depending on the character, but she really nailed it. It really felt like someone struggling a lot and just being forced to look at themselves in the mirror and to kind of move past it or to find strength. I thought it was a fantastic scene, and it was a really entertaining film. Not quite near the top of my list or anything like that for 2018, but certainly a really strong film and one I'd probably watch again. If you've seen the film, leave your thoughts down below, let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
He's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you, 'cause